Hey everyone, this is Yasarian. Welcome to another edition of my TimeSplitters 2 modding tutorial. This section is going to get a little tricky at times, so just bear in mind it's going to take some trial and error. We're going to be completely changing name strings in the game. Now, the name strings are the different files in the game that list the names of different items, how long they are, and where they're assigned to. We've already changed these to some degree in the characters section, but we're going a step further, reassigning unused ones to existing ones, so you can take advantage of longer names or anything of that sort. So to start out, you're going to want to go to the gun IDs section of the modding document. You're going to want to scroll over. This section right here is what we're interested in, all of these at offsets. The very first thing it lists is the string ID, and that is what we're going to be looking into and changing. This decides the location of where a gun or character, ammo item, any of their names, these addresses decide where they're assigned, which means that you could change them around and give them to different items. You could swap the names of the Tommy gun, the SBP-90 machine gun, or you could give it a new one entirely. But the big thing we're going to look at is replacing existing ones with unused strings, because there are a lot of them in the game, and you can freely replace them if you want to give an item a longer name or anything of that sort. To start out, we're going to change the name of the TNT. It's got a short name on its own, so we're going to have to make it longer. To start out, we're going to go to its offset. We don't need to use the hex calculator for this, which is 32DBF0, and has a string ID of 0649. Now, in HXD, we're going to replace this. When you're in HXD, you're going to want to look up the names of the items. Easiest way to get to it is just to look up the name of a particular gun or anything of that sort. So we're just going to type in Luger pistol to bring us to the weapon list. So Control F, enter that in, search direction all, and then click search all. It should take a few moments to search. Once it's done with that, we're going to be taken right to the weapon name list, which I think we briefly covered in the weapons section. Yeah, that's it. You can see our changes to the silence pistol right there. So you're going to want to scroll down. TNT only gives us 3 characters to work with. It's not much. But if you scroll down here, you can see some unused areas that we could replace it with. Flares has 6 characters, which is nice. Small key has about 9. So we're going to replace that. We're going to rename the small key into the demo pack. Because like a demolition pack, a strap of TNT, like in the TF2 beta. So the best way to find this is to look up the reference on the document. Look up the name string for an item that's normally available and just count down to it. So in this case, we're going to pull the document again, and since the digital camera is only 2 steps above it, we're going to look at that for reference. Alright, back at the document, and if you look over here, the digital camera, it has a name string ID of 0672. So this is going to be pretty straightforward. It's 2 steps above the small key. So the small key's string ID should be 0674. What we're going to do is go to copy the TNT's offset and change its string ID of 0649 to 0674. So once we're in HXD, paste it in. We paste in the offset, that is, for the TNT. And we replace this with 674. Save that. The TNT should have a new name now in-game. Now, with something like this, it requires a lot of trial and error. might find that we're a little off. So it's important to check the game whenever you're making these sorts of changes. You don't know if you might have miscalculated where a named string is or something like that. And something important to note that I want to bring up as well. You can also do this with character names, because they also have named strings. But in the case of a gun, the last 4 values in that offset decide what it is. But for a character, it's the first 4 values. So we're going to, in this case, apply the same strategy to changing a character's name. We're going to change a shorter character's name, like R109. So let's do that right now. Pull up the document for reference. Back in the document, you're going to want to go into the character section. Again, their name string is right up here. Very first thing you can change. And like it says in the little box, it's the upper 4 values only. So we're going to scroll down. We're going to find R109 since he's got a shortened name. Okay, he's got the name string of 00C8. So we can change that. Let's go into HXD and let's figure out where the flare's name string is, what exactly its value would be. So we're just going to pull up the same result as before. Just double click the excerpt. This one, this is the correct section, not the duplicate. Again, that's offset 115815E7 for the correct offset. You're gonna scroll down. Okay, so let's see where the flares are. Flares are one after bricks for ammo, and one before electricity for ammo. So this should be pretty straightforward. We go to the ammo types section on the document, and we figure out what their name strings are. Alright, so there's the ammo types area. So we're going to scroll down. We're going to look for the name string where that's governed. Alright, string ID from ammo box. That's what we're looking for. So in this case, we're going to look for electro tool ammo and bricks. Alright, so this part can be kind of tricky, because the string ID for the ammo box determines what the name is going to be. There's no flares listing, so we're going to have to figure it out on our own, but at the same time, the electro tool and brick aren't listed like right next to each other. So that makes it a little tricky to figure out which name string is going to be covering flares. Based off of the order this is lined up in, there's no mention of a 066B. So for now I'm going to assume that that is actually the flare's name string. So what we're going to do next is go into HXD, go find R109's name string, and replace it with 066B, and then change the flare's name string accordingly. We're going to name him Lagbot or something like that, just a generic robot name to show how it works. Okay, so we tested out the changes in-game, and both went through successfully. To point this out again, the flare string is listed as 066B. The small key string is 0674. So now I'm going to show you something really big, something that completely blew my mind when I first found this. This will be very important for the name strings part, and it's also just neat in general. Go to the Go To option and go to offset 115.80951. So we're going to pull that up. Once you get there, you're going to see something unreal. A ton of cheats for TimeSplitters 2 that didn't make the final cut. Some are holdovers from TimeSplitters 1, like all enemies are impersonators, enemies have bricks. Others are brand new, like Invincible, all enemies are handymen, all enemies are monkeys. I think there's one for all enemies with crossbows too. Like all enemies small, just cool stuff like that. Sadly, I don't know if you can enable any of these, but the important thing about them is that they all can replace character names or item names or anything of that sort. So you now have a ton more room to work with if you want to give your weapon or your character a bigger name. For values, they begin at string 0590. That starts out at the gun sounds cheat. Because some of these cheats are still used, like infinite ammo, paintball, big hands. So that's where they start out at. Let's start out with something like, let's lengthen some names. We're gonna go to the enemies have bricks entry, which is string number 0592. The thing with this is gonna take some trial and error because you're mostly counting down from a starting point and figuring out what each string's name string's value is. Gun sounds is 0590. So let's go to enemies have rockets. We're gonna replace Hank Nova's name with that. So let's name him something longer, like Space Force Soldier. The good thing is this only has like one extra space at the end, so it should still look normal. There'll only be like a slight gap between his name and the exclamation point when he makes the first kill. For enemies that have bricks, let's replace this for the Tommy gun. Let's call it by its real name. M1928 Thompson SMG. Yeah, there we go. And that also didn't really have much extra space. So what we're going to do now is go to the characters page and assign those strings. First we're going to assign Hank Nova's name string, then we're going to assign the Tommy Gun's name string. Alright, so we're going to look for Hank Nova. Scroll down the list till we see his name. Yep, there he is. ISO 3489cc. And the name string is the very first thing listed, and as mentioned before, the first 4 values are what we're going to change. So we're going to copy the ISO into HXD and edit it accordingly. So again, we'll plug this into the go-to value. Look at there. And that is Hank Nova's name string right here. The first 4 values are what we're concerned with. So let's replace that with 0591. And then next, we're going to go to the Tommy Gun's name string. That will be under gun IDs once again. So we'll scroll over. Tommy Gun's, the one we're going to look for is 32DC38. So now we're going to change this to 0592. The dual Tommy Guns have their own name string, and we're going to have to change that too. So we search up GoTo, we enter the value of 32DC80. We go there, a little bit under the value we just changed. And now we're going to need to change another value so we can fit that name in For the Tommy gun ×2, the string ID we'll use is 0593. Okay, so let's change all enemies are impersonators to M1928 Thompson SMG ×2. Kind of a mouthful, but it does the trick. And again, with guns you can do this because they don't have that weird formatting issue that character names do. The only thing, it'll appear a little off-center in the MapMaker select screen, but that's not a big deal at all. Alright, now that we've done that, one more thing that could be nice to do. We're going to give the Mox Weapon and Desert Eagles their own names. So, the Mox Weapon we're going to replace gun sounds with Mox Weapon since it fits there exactly. I try to do a lot of research before making the video so I wouldn't slip up and have to correct it in post. The all enemies small string is going to be where we put Desert Eagle ×2. Fits perfectly. Now the last one, I couldn't quite find the right fit for the name, so I'm going to replace a character name and give it to the Desert Eagle. I know one that fits exactly. You're going to go Control F, find, search for barrel robot, search direction all, and then click search all. Now this character, this was one of those special enemies in Robot Factory, the one that shot out like those green energy beams or whatever they were at you. You never see the name in-game, so my thoughts are we can replace it and there won't be any issues. I'm just checking to make sure this, yeah, there's our name change. So this is the right area to change it at. This is the used section of text. And that right there, that is string 0053. So we'll save these. And now we're going to go back into the document to look up the correct strings to change. So for reference, this is the string ID for the Tommy gun that we need to change. This is the string for the Tommy gun ×2. Scroll down some. So there's the sci-fi handgun, Desert Eagle ×2. You can see here that their name strings are shared with existing weapons. This has the sci-fi handgun's name, this has the same name as the unarmed. So we just need to replace these. Use these 3 values shown here and give them the new string IDs. I'll list them out once again for reference. First we're going to go to 32DF50. That is where we're going to change the Mox Weapon's name. We're going to make that 0590, which was the gun sounds cheat. Next, we're going to go to 32DF98. That's the single Desert Eagle's name. We're going to make this 0053, which was the barrel robot's name. Now it's its own thing. And now we go to 32DFE0. That's for the double Desert Eagles, the dual-wheeled version. That can have its own name too. We're going to give that 059D, which was all enemies small. Alright. So save it. Make sure all your stuff's backed up. If you want, you can change stuff up with like these existing names. There are, I think, 1 or 2 unused ones, some other ones that never show up. I don't think the witch name is ever used. I think I used that in Haunted Edition for one of the character names. But yeah, so now the only thing that's left is to test it out in game, make sure everything shows up as it should. Sky's the limit when it comes to changing name strings. Tons of unused cheats and other unused content you can just use to swap it out. give your weapons their own unique names or characters their own unique names in whatever mod you're doing. And that's everything. Everything worked out well. Thanks for sticking through this video. I know it was kind of a complicated, lengthy one, but I think that this can really help give a mod its own individual charm and help set things apart. So next time around is going to be big. We're going to be covering story mode levels and modding them. I don't think I'll be able to cover all that in a single episode, but we're going to start out with the basics and work our way out from there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you got something out of this.